At CUC, we care about helping our customers. Here are some quick energy-saving tips from CUC so you can use less energy and save money. Set your AC Smart thermostat to maintain an indoor temperature of 87 degrees Fahrenheit or higher when you are away from home, and have the temperature cool to a comfortable 78 degrees Fahrenheit or higher when you arrive home. Adding insulation can cut your cooling costs by 15 to 45%, depending on your home's size and current insulation. Focus on insulating your attic, walls, and windows for the best results. For your laundry, avoid over-drying clothes. Not only does it waste energy, but it also harms fabrics. Dry towels and heavier cottons separately from lighter weight fabrics to save energy. Your TV and gaming setup can be big energy consumers. Save costs by reducing in-game settings and turning off your console when not in use. Remember, every small step counts. Use energy wisely and make a big difference in your energy bills and the environment.
When you run your own business, you have a career as an accountant, stock taker, delivery driver, therapist, legal expert, mother, father, and the rest. But there's one area you don't need to be an expert in. At Brava, we take the complexity out of your business solutions. We keep it simple, so you can get along with doing what you do. Brava, the Simplify My Business company.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Welcome to the 5th of 19 candidate forums for the 2025 general elections in the Cayman Islands, proudly hosted by the Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce. My name is Omari Corbin, and I'm honored to serve as the current president of the Chamber of Commerce. I'm also pleased to be one of the panelists posing questions to our candidates this evening. Before we begin, I would like to sincerely thank the 3 Newlands candidates, Mr. Raul Gonzalez Jr., Mr. Wayne Panton, and Mr. Alva Suku, for accepting our invitation to participate in tonight's forum. By appearing together on this platform, you demonstrate a shared commitment to the democratic process and to the people of Newlands. Your presence signals your readiness to address the pressing issues raised by the community through a recent chamber survey, which has helped shape the questions we'll be asking tonight. While time won't allow us to cover every question submitted, we will do our best to focus on topics identified as most important to voters in the Cayman Islands and Newlands. When the Chamber was founded in 1965, it was built on the principles of supporting, promoting, and protecting the interests of our members and the wider community. Remaining strictly nonpartisan, we have proudly hosted these candidate forums every election year since 1988. We've provided a neutral platform for 9 elections, allowing voters to hear directly from those seeking public office and helping our community make informed decisions on election day. The questions for tonight's forum have been carefully developed based on past and current chamber surveys, our 3-year advocacy agenda, and submissions from the public in various constituencies. No candidate has received these questions in advance, ensuring a fair and open discussion. As an organization committed to supporting a strong and sustainable Cayman, the Chamber's advocacy efforts focus on 3 key pillars: building a future-ready workforce, sustaining economic success, and advancing quality of life. The newly elected Chamber Council believes that these pillars are fundamental to the continued growth and prosperity of our islands. Looking ahead, the Chamber intends to collaborate with the incoming government to develop a government accountability scorecard, ensuring accountability and transparency. Additionally, we will seek representation on key government boards and authorities, as we believe our members bring valuable expertise that can help shape effective policies and initiatives. These forums require months of coordination, And I'd like to acknowledge the tremendous efforts of Will and the Chamber staff who have worked diligently behind the scenes. I'd also like to express our gratitude to Ashley Furniture and Home Store, Foster's, CUC, and Logic for their generous sponsorships, which have made these forums possible. Additionally, we appreciate our media partners, Cayman Mall Road, Cayman Live TV, and ICCI FM for broadcasting tonight's event. We are live streaming the forums, making it easier than ever for voters to tune in from the comfort of their homes. We hope this added accessibility encourages even greater participation in the democratic process. And now, it's time to begin. I'll turn the proceedings over to Will Panu, CEO of the Chamber of Commerce, who will serve as tonight's moderator. Will outline the forum's rules and introduce our Newlands candidates.
Good evening, gentlemen. The rules for tonight's forum are as follows. Each candidate will be asked 12 questions. You'll have 2 minutes to elaborate on each question if you choose to do so. I will notify you when the time has elapsed with a ring, and then we'll move on to the next candidate. Each candidate will be allowed to answer the question without interruption and is free to differ with an opinion or position of a fellow candidate during your allotted response time. We're asking candidates to be solely with the issues, and at the conclusion of the forum, each candidate will be allowed 2.5 minutes to deliver a closing statement. And now I'd like to introduce the candidates for Newlands. They were all selected randomly, so the first person to select their seat was G. Wayne Panton. He's the Caymanian Community Party candidate for Newlands. He's a former Premier and current Member of Parliament for Newlands. Sworn in as Premier in April 2021, Wayne also served as Minister for Sustainability and Climate Resiliency and Minister for Finance and Economic Development, driving forward policies that enhance the quality of life for the people of Cayman, from addressing climate change to introducing new anti-harassment laws. An attorney by profession, Wayne was first elected as the member for Bodentown from 2013 to 2017, during which he also served as Minister for Financial Services, Commerce, and Environment. He put in place much-needed environmental protections with the National Conservation Law at the time and now Act. Wayne and his wife Jane are the founders of the Alex Panton Foundation. This not-for-profit organization raises awareness about mental illnesses affecting children and young adults in the Cayman Islands. The foundation was established in memory of the couple's son, Alex, who succumbed to the effects of severe depression at the age of 16. A true son of Newlands, Wayne was raised in and lives in the community, serving the residents of Newlands, Savannah, regardless of his political status. For 13 years, he has run his community office as the hub for various community initiatives, including the renovation of 5 Newlands Savannah community parks and the implementation of a new traffic calming measures. As a founding member of the Caymanian Community Party, Wayne supports the party's shared vision of community-led leadership and its strong values of good governance, integrity, accountability, and sustainability. Welcome, Wayne.
Welcome. Thank you.
Our next candidate is Alva Saku. He's the People's Progressive Movement candidate for Newlands. As former MP and deputy opposition leader, he brings proven leadership with tangible results to Newlands. His record speaks volumes, securing critical flood control infrastructure, championing constitutional reforms, and delivering neighborhood security enhancements. During COVID-19, Alva demonstrated practical leadership by providing laptops to children and coordinating community support. His commitment to service continued as he pursued a law education while serving in Parliament. Born and raised in Cayman, Alva combines technological expertise with legal knowledge and public service experience. His vision for Newlands focuses on reducing household expenses, modernizing infrastructure, and expanding opportunities for Caymanians. With PPM's unified team behind him, Alva offers Newlands the experienced representation it deserves, someone who has delivered before and stands ready to put proven leadership back to work for Caymanian families. Welcome, Alva.
Thank you.
Raul Gonzalez Jr. is an independent candidate for Newlands. He's the first of 4 children born to the union of Nora and Raul Gonzalez. He was born and raised in Grand Cayman. He belonged to a family that upheld Christian values and love radiated amongst them. In pursuit of a good education, Raul attended Triple C School and John Gray High School. He has spent his entire adult life as an entrepreneur. He is not afraid of trying new business ventures. He is guided by the quote, "If you have never tried, you will never know." Raul is a family man who takes pride in ensuring that his wife, children, siblings, and other family members, employees, and friends are comfortable and happy. He enjoys water sports, cycling, cooking, and board games. He loves to share and assist where possible. These qualities are aligned with the fact that he is a devout Christian and a member of the Cayman Islands Baptist Church. Raul is not a career politician, but rather a humble, hardworking husband, father, brother, uncle, and friend who is deeply committed to bringing about change in his community. He aspires to become the voice for the voiceless within his community and share his love and compassion for his country and fellow Caymanians. Welcome, Raul. Welcome, gentlemen. And at this time, we're going to take a short commercial break, and when we return, we begin the first of 12 questions. Stay with us.
When you run your own business, you have a career as an accountant, stock taker, delivery driver, therapist, legal expert, mother, father, and the rest. But there's one area you don't need to be an expert in. At Brava, we take the complexity out of your business solutions. We keep it simple, so you can get along with doing what you do. Brava, the Simplify My Business company.
Why is my bill higher? These days, it might seem like the cost of everything is going up here in Cayman. When it comes to your energy bill, this may be no exception. You may be wondering why your bill is higher when you haven't done anything different in your home. Here are some common factors that will increase your energy usage. As temperatures outside increase, your air conditioning unit has to run longer to keep your house cool, even if you haven't adjusted the thermostat. During the summer months, cooling your home can make up more than half of your energy bill. It's important to maintain your AC so that it can function as efficiently as possible. Changing your AC filters can also help with ensuring units are functioning properly. Remember, for every degree you turn up your thermostat, you can save on your monthly energy cost. Turn off your AC when no one is home. Thermostat should not be set any lower than 78 degrees. Also consider closing blinds and drapes on the sunny side of your home. This will help reduce the temperature inside your home. Remember to consider energy waste. Think about the items in your home that are using energy, like gaming computers and ceiling fans. Always unplug and turn these items off when they are not in use or needed. This will help you conserve. Now that you have some energy saving tips, you can track your consumption daily on MyCUC. Learn more at www.cuc-cayman.com.
Welcome back to the Chamber of Commerce Candidates Forum for the constituency of Newlands. We've gone through the introductions. Now we're going to start the questioning. And to begin, Chamber President Omari Corbin.
Thanks, Will. Mr. Panton, question will come to you first. Can you share why you have decided to run in this year's election and how you intend to represent the people of Newlands if elected?
Thank you very much for the question, and thank you to the Chamber for providing this opportunity. I have served the country. I've served my constituency of initially Town and then over the last 4 years, Newlands. I think I've done a great job in both contexts. I don't do this because I need the position. I'm doing this because I am committed to public service. I think that it is a very honorable thing to do, and I am determined that we need change. We need some improvements in the way we deal with politics, make decisions in this country, and I think we are at a point in time where we're running out of any margin for error. Most people, I think, today feel the pressures of trying to find housing, the cost of living, the concerns around quality of life. And I think that people who are good people and who feel that they have the ability to contribute to those issues, and obviously my fellow participants here feel equally the same way, and I support that. We should be putting ourselves forward. I feel that Newlands has had the benefit of a lot of good representation, a lot of positive improvements in the quality of life. But yes, everybody's feeling the issues that we're all concerned about. We need to invest in better improvement or better results in education. That has not been happening. Public safety. We need to have sustainable development. And I am committed to addressing issues around traffic, the flooding or the stormwater management issues we have, and safety in our community. I want to see those addressed, and I want to see things like CCTV across our community to make our people feel safe in their constituency.
Thank you, Mr.
where they
Panton.
should be.
Thank you, Mr. Panton. Mr. Suku, I'll repeat the question. Can you share why you have decided to run in this year's election and how you intend to represent the people of Newlands if elected?
Thank you. When I started my representation in 2013, I was answering a call to serve. I have always been a person who wanted to serve this country, and I proudly served Bordentown and then Newlands for 8 years. I still feel that call to serve. What boosts it, what enhances it now is that in the past 4 years, I've had time to reflect and observe. And I have seen where things have not improved very much for anyone in the constituency. As a matter of fact, I think for some, things have gotten worse. I think the people in Newlands need a stronger voice, stronger representation, representation that I have brought in the past and that I can bring again. I have spent the time the past 4 years improving myself, reflecting on my performance in the last term, and thinking of ways that I can be a better representative as well. So I come back more prepared, much better prepared, stronger, and able to take the constituency forward and to also contribute on a national scale. I think I'm now prepared for that. Another reason, and it's probably the main reason, is I care. I care about the issues that people in this country are facing on a daily basis. I hear the stories. I've lived that life for the past 4 years. Going to the supermarket, taking my daughter to school, or taking her to the bus stop at 6:45, half asleep. Dealing with traffic, sitting in traffic for hour and a half sometimes. Trying to get home from a hard day's work. No time to spend with your children because you've been in traffic for quite a while. The cost of living, the stories of people not being able to afford food, take care of their families, the rent, the young people who can't afford their own home. Those are issues that I want to tackle, I think that I can help solve. And so that's why I'm offering myself again for service to this country and to the constituency as a leader that they can depend on to get things done.
Thank you, Mr. Suku. Mr. Gonzalez Jr., do you need me to repeat the question? Can you share why you have decided to run in this year's election and how you intend to represent the people of Newlands if elected.
Thank you for the question. I decided to run, this is my third time, because it's only getting worse. Our people of Newlands and the Cayman Islands can't go another cycle of deteriorating. They need a voice, they need a strong leader, they need someone who could work cohesively with the next 18 representatives to get this country going on the right track. Caymanians need to be at the forefront and not being second class in their own citizen and their own country. The cost of living is an issue. Healthcare is unaffordable. Food is getting unaffordable. Housing is unaffordable. Education system is struggling. Employment for Caymanians is a problem. Just to name a few. Infrastructure, quality way of life. So I'm running now so we could tackle these issues and we could deal with it and bring policies to sort them out immediately rather than later. The Caymanians can't afford living the way they're living. They're losing their homes. They go to school, they come back and they can't get employed in their own country. They're leaving their country because they can't live a sustainable life in their country. That's a problem. You know, they can't afford groceries and the infrastructure, the traffic, they can't have a quality of life. And all these issues never just came 2 years ago or 3 years ago. It's just been compiled and compiled for decades now. So it's time for change. It's time to break the cycle. It is time to get action going that the Caymanians are at the forefront and at first in everything that we do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez Jr.
All right, so I'll start the second round. I'll start with you, Mr. Suku. So the question is, what three national issues would you seek to address if elected?
That question is difficult to answer because there's so many issues. But if I had to focus in on three, I would start with cost of living. I think cost of living has really taken a toll on this country. And as I alluded to earlier, a lot of people have been suffering and need some relief. Housing, again, is a part of cost of living. The immigration issues, the out-of-control immigration, we have to get a handle on immigration in this country. And education. Education, I think, needs an upgrade. It's not, I don't think it's meeting the needs currently of the young people. It's not doing justice to them. I'm a strong advocate for education, and I think education is the answer to most of our problems. If you look around at the percentage of people who are coming out of high school and going into the workforce with just a high school education, 50% of those are Caymanian. The people in the workforce with just a high school education. Those that are not moving up the ladder, who are not getting the opportunities, the career advancement, those are our Caymanians. And it's because we stopped taking care of them at the early stage when they come out of high school. We don't encourage them to go into tertiary education. It doesn't have to be academic. It can be skills. It can be technical and vocational. What I'd like to see us do is put more focus on efforts to keep people moving up educationally so that they're able to take care of themselves, take care of their families, have a home, rather than development outpace them and they end up in a situation where they can't function because the jobs require a lot more technology advances, things, and people are not getting advanced. The cost of living, we're going to look at ways to provide some relief to our people. We're going to provide assisted health insurance for all of our young people so that the parents can take those young people off their policy and the government will take care of them until they're 18. And we're going to provide lots of solutions for housing.
Thank you, Mr. Suku. Mr. Gonzalez, do you need me to repeat the question? What three national issues would you seek to address if elected?
Thank you. Like my colleague said, there's a whole heap of issues, and they all intertwined. It's a domino effect. But at the end of the day, it's the Caymanian people feeling it. Cost of living, housing, education, immigration, employment, just to name a few. Cost of living. We all know we're consumer base. We import everything. Everything has a fuel factor. We need to regulate the fuel companies and start to deal with the fuel. That's a domino effect to bring down the electricity and utilities. To start, we got to start there. Then we got to think about opening channels and start dealing with the Caribbean countries, Jamaica, Cuba, Honduras, Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua. Trade, buy from the source direct, bring down the costs for our people. We got to establish a consumer protection board. There's products there that, you know, it's not being passed on to the people. We go to the grocery store all the time and we know that they got duty concessions on certain stuff, and why are they up like that? The prices. So we need a consumer protection board, and we need to, as a government, we need to think where we can give more discounts in essential items for our people to help them. Employment. We got to mandate and we got to put policies in place where our Caymanians are being employed who are capable and willing to work. We can't depend on the companies to say, you know, leave it to them. We have to put a policy in place. We have Caymanians here. They need work. They're going to get work, first and foremost. We got work permits. We have to just let them know that it's time now. Bring in the Cayman. We got kids that come in from overseas, people that are here, put them in that place, shadow them for 3 months and say, okay, you got to go now. Caymanians come first. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gonzalez. Mr. Panton, do you need me to repeat the question?
Thank you very much. Well, no surprise, I think cost of living is one of the major issues that all of our citizens are feeling, and certainly the same is true for the residents of Newlands. Housing is a major issue as well, and access to housing, affordability for housing. And I would say the third one for me is probably immigration reform. We have a real issue with Caymanians feeling that they are, you know, they are a minority in their own country, and they feel that they are losing control, they're losing direction of the country. On the cost of living issue, obviously that is comprised of a number of different factors. There's not so much we can do in terms of food, because so much of our food is imported, and it comes from, you know, countries where the economies of scale are such that we couldn't replicate that at a cheaper level in Cayman. But what we can do is encourage people to do more backyard farming, grow more of their own food. Obviously, it's going to be fresher and healthier, and it's a very positive hobby to engage in. Energy is a significant issue. We're not going to be able to reduce fuel costs and all these types of things. There's been lots of discussion about that. That's not going to happen. What we can do is we can find ways to improve efficiencies for homes so we can reduce consumption while still maintaining the quality of life and feeling comfortable. And we need to transition as quickly as possible to renewable energy. Renewable energy is something that will give us fixed or stable costs for the long term and not subject us to the volatility of you know, the fuel markets globally. Housing is something that we must address as well, the cost of housing. We have many houses, we just need to have more affordable homes. And there are many ways that myself and my colleagues at the Caymanian Community Party will implement steps to achieve that.
Mr. Panton.
Mr. Gonzalez Jr., we'll start with you for question number 3. Micro and small businesses comprise the majority of companies in the Cayman Islands, offering the most significant number of job opportunities. What specific policies and incentives would you propose to support and assist Caymanian entrepreneurs and business owners?
Thank you. Well, we should, as a government, we need to give them more incentives than what we're giving them. We should give them some grants to help them grow their business and start their businesses in sense of concessions and stuff, right? We're giving concessions to all the big developers. We need to stop that and focus on our small businesses and the people who want to attain a small business, the entrepreneurs. We should have programs in place to help them. Like I said, as a government, we should emphasize more offering them those incentives so they could be able to live a quality life and provide for their families and live a sustainable life in Cayman. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez Jr. Mr. Panton, I'll repeat the question. Micro and small businesses comprise the majority of companies in the Cayman Islands, offering the most significant number of job opportunities. What specific policies and incentives would you propose to support and assist Caymanian entrepreneurs and business owners?
Thank you for the question. Yeah, I mean, it is true. I think that there's a rule of thumb that about 70% of the workforce comes from small businesses, medium-sized businesses. We have to support them. We have to provide assistance wherever we can. And I think that the government should provide, and I think at the moment there are certain incentives in place, but I think we can go further than that. We can, rather than just having $75 trade and business licenses, we can reduce the costs for businesses, for small businesses. We can also provide the types of concessions, as had been mentioned earlier, that would improve the viability of small businesses. They're already challenged in an environment like we have currently, we've had over the last 2 years with high inflation. That has only been a bigger challenge for them, and we must continue to support them. And I would be in favor of granting concessions to small businesses and lowering costs wherever we can, giving them concessions, for example, on duty rates so that they can more effectively compete against overseas businesses who can deal with people in the country, consumers in the country, and ship in, at very little cost these days. So I think that is the kind of approach that we should be taking. They are a critically important part of the economy.
Thank you, Mr. Panton. Mr. Suku, do you need me to repeat the question? Yes, please. Micro and small businesses comprise the majority of companies in the Cayman Islands, offering the most significant number of job opportunities. What specific policies and incentives would you propose to support and assist Caymanian entrepreneurs and business owners?
Well, I think everyone agrees small businesses are the engine that drive this economy. They may not contribute a significant amount to our, well, they will contribute collectively, but not individually to our GDP. But they provide employment. They provide money going into the economy. They provide employment for our people. So they're very important. Not just concession-wise. I support giving concessions. As a matter of fact, I actually moved an amendment to the trade and business law at the time to exempt Caymanian artists, musicians, and people who were producing their own songs or artwork or whatever it was, so that they don't require a trade and business license. I think that was the time when Mr. Panton was actually minister. That amendment is still there, but since then the concessions have brought trade and business down to $75. But what I'd also like to focus on for small businesses is a one-stop shop. What is killing a lot of them is the red tape that they have to deal with. So they have to deal with planning, and they get into a really mixed up situation sometimes. Just trying to get inspections if they're a construction business. They're applying for licenses. They may not have the expertise to know exactly what to do. They're applying for work permits or whatever. So create a one-stop small business concierge type situation where we were going to do it for Invest Cayman, a one-stop shop for people who want to invest in Cayman. But I think we should do that for small businesses so that they can just come to one central point and say, this is my business, these are my requirements for the next year, can you help me get there? And government then should provide the assistance. If we value them, if we think they're so important, then I think that that is the focus we need to put on them. In addition to that, Newlands, if you try to find office space right now in Newlands, good luck. You can't find any. We need to bring more business up east. We need to make sure that we are incentivizing and encouraging businesses, entrepreneurs to invest in Newlands and the eastern districts. And I think incentives could be used to accomplish that goal. But we need business to come our way.
Thank you, Mr. Suku.
Okay, round four. Mr. Panton, we'll start with you. Over the past 2 decades, there has been a substantial increase in funding public services, with many Caymanians now depending on government assistance in virtually every aspect of their lives, from social services and overseas medical care to school lunches. The Auditor General has warned about the level of public spending compared to revenue in recent years. Are you concerned about the level of government and public expenditure? If so, how would you propose addressing it?
Thank you for the question. And yes, I am concerned about the level of public expenditure. I think that the Auditor General's comments have been very illuminating. I think it reflects concerns that I've held personally for some time. I mean, I'll give you an example. The NGS 55, which is the account that is used by government to help pay for medical costs for indigent people, those who are unable to afford it. That is budgeted at about 50% or less on most occasions when the budget is being done. That is obviously clearly not a true reflection of what the costs are. So we're only fooling ourselves in believing that we can budget something like that and then go off and spend money on other things that we really can't afford to do. That is obviously made up by supplementary expenditure later on. But we've got to be honest about the situation and not put ourselves in that position where we're spending money on other areas that we really can't afford because we actually have to make this, to pay this bill. I don't think that we can avoid those types of scenarios where we will have people in our community, in our country, who need assistance, and we have to be there to assist them. We have to provide that safety net. But we can improve their health. We can try to create a more healthy population. We can do proactive and preventative medicines to help reduce those types of costs. We can also try to ensure that our people have better employment opportunities, that they have better education, that those kids that are coming home with an education actually have a path to get a job so that they can begin contributing to their families to improve the overall position and the overall financial position of their families. Too often these days we have people who are trying to find a job for 2 years and then they give up and they leave. We're not going to build a strong, capable society, a strong middle class like that. So there are many different factors that we have to utilize in order to control the costs that we end up spending to support families that in areas where we are failing to properly support them.
Thank you, Mr. Panton. Mr. Suku, you need me to repeat the question?
Yes.
Yeah. It's a long paragraph, so I need to remember it myself. Over the past 2 decades, there's been a substantial increase in funding public services, with many Caymanians now depending on government assistance in virtually every aspect of their lives, from social services and overseas medical care to school lunches. The Auditor General has warned about the level of public spending compared to revenue in recent reports. Are you concerned about the level of public expenditure? If so, how would you propose addressing it?
Thank you for the question. I am concerned about the level of public expenditure, but let me start by saying that I don't believe in policies that restrict people from getting the assistance they need. Now, that is quite different and apart from properly managing the people's money. So I think that a lot of the spending that has happened in the past 4 years has been a case of mismanagement. We tried to create a government out of individuals who were never aligned on policy. These individuals came together, formed a government, and then tried to run the country and to manage the country's finances. And I think the mistake there is that they didn't have a common goal. They didn't have a common purpose. So you ended up in some instances where there was a little horse trading. So if I want to build this, then you need to give me this. And there's bargaining within cabinet, within the caucus, individuals holding out for what they came to do, and the other individuals holding out for what they came to do, and the end result, well, if you spend this, I'm going to spend this. You spend this, I'll spend this. And it just goes out of control. The PPM, when they were in government, managed the country's finances tremendously better. And I'm not just saying that. I think some of the best economic performance we've had in recent years has been under the PPM administration. I intend to continue working with the PPM, working under the financial policies and guidelines that they have implemented over the years, because I find that they're fiscally responsible. They're very good at managing our finances. Now, we need to also look at prevention. When we talk about escalating healthcare costs, we need to be able to prevent people from getting that sick. And the only way to do that is to look at things like childhood obesity, diabetes. How do we prevent people from getting to that level where they need that expensive care? Wellness programs in our communities. In Newlands, I want to introduce wellness programs for elderly to prevent them getting sick and getting, and then the cost of healthcare goes through the roof.
Thank you, Mr. Suku. Mr. Gonzalez, over the past 2 decades, there's been a substantial increase in the funding of public services, with many Caymanians now depending on government assistance in virtually every aspect of their lives, from Social Security to overseas medical care to school lunches. The Auditor General has warned about the level of spending compared to revenue in recent reports. Are you concerned about the level of public expenditure? If so, how would you propose addressing it?
Thanks for the question. No surprise why the Caymanians, the expenditures to where it's at, right? And the Caymanians depending on that because, again, lack of employment, lack of education, healthcare, out of the roof, they can't afford it. They're working from 8 to 5, trying to just survive. And it ain't sustainable in their country. So I support funding it. We need to find ways how we're going to cut back on the expenditure, how we're going to make the money now to subsidize that expenditure. I'm completely in support of all of that. How we're going to find the money now to take care of these issues, because we need to relocate the money and put it into education so we could educate our people. We need to help them with the health care, get them proper health care. We need to educate them on the finances, give them employment where they could make a sustainable living in their own country. First and foremost, stop these concessions that we're giving to all the big developers. That money now we could take and invest into the country and the people. The expats that are here and working on contract, they should be taxed on their pay. They should be contributing more. They're coming here, they're making the money, sending it away. That money could help our people. Like I said, we have a lot of unemployment Caymanians, and we have 40,000 work permits. That's a problem there. All right.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. We've gone through the first 4 questions. There are plenty more to come. I'd ask everyone to stay tuned. We're going to take a short commercial break. Please stay tuned.
EV public charging can be a bit tricky to navigate if you're new to the game. But fear not. Here's a little 101 on all things public charging at your CUC charge station. The first tip is to get the mobile app up and ready on your phone before you charge your EV at the charging location. You can scan the QR code to load the app from sitting in your car. Download the mobile app, register a charge account, load money into your charge wallet. You must have a minimum of US $5 balance in your charge wallet to begin a charging session. Scan the QR code again to start a charging session using this charger. You can also enter the station ID number into the app. Follow the instructions on the mobile app to initiate your charging session. Now you're ready to charge your EV. Select either the right or the left charge plug. Plug your car in and make sure it shows as charging on your dashboard. Charging for 1 hour will give you up to 35 miles of charge. Charging to 80% optimizes battery life and reduces the risk of overcharging. So in that time, you can shop or go to work or chat with fellow EV owners. It's a real community out there. Great to see you, Maya. Happy charging, everyone. See you on the road.
When you run your own business, you have a career as an accountant, stock taker, delivery driver, therapist, legal expert, mother, father, and the rest. But there's one area you don't need to be an expert in. At Brava, we take the complexity out of your business solutions. We keep it simple, so you can get along with doing what you do. Brava, the Simplify My Business company.
Welcome back to the Chamber of Commerce Candidates Forum for the constituency of Newlands. We've gone through the first 4 questions. Now we'll go on to 5th question, which deals with the National Conservation Council. Omari?
Thanks, Will. Mr. Suku, we'll start with you for question number 5. Many developers argue that the National Conservation Council has too much power. How would you reform the council's role, if at all?
Well, I'll start off by saying that I supported the passing of the Conservation Act, or law, at the time. I voted for it. I also voted for some amendments to it, and I'll be very clear about that. So, in my view, the spirit of the law is there, and I support it. We have to conserve. We have to believe in conservation, but we also have to live it. Extinction is forever. So it's not to be said that I don't believe in conservation. However, I do believe that it goes a bit far in certain instances where the delegation of powers to the DOE are concerned, and where the DOE, to an extent, can not follow the wishes of cabinet. Could create a and the council doesn't have to follow the wishes of cabinet. It could create a situation where we're creating a constitutional crisis for ourselves, because cabinet is the ultimate authority in this country, and I think cabinet should have the right in certain instances to override when it sees fit. But I don't, I don't know if we've done enough background research and looking at the law itself to see exactly what changes need to be made. So I am only talking about this from a cursory point of view and feedback given to me from individuals who have felt that they've been impacted by the Act. My approach would be to look at the Act in entirety, to have the legal experts take a look at it, and to see whether or not changes are really required at this point in time, but very cautiously, because while we want to keep our people happy, we want to keep development going, we also want to preserve for future generations. And I am basing my arguments here on feedback that's been given to me. I haven't been able to do my own research to determine whether or not that is the case. But I think that's where we would start looking, to see where powers can be maybe reeled in a bit, maybe if it's too overreaching, if it's hampering people getting things done sort of unnecessarily. So that's where I would start. But I wouldn't sit here and say that I would want to revamp the entire law.
Thank you, Mr. Suku. Mr. Gonzalez Jr., I'll repeat the question. Many developers argue that the National Conservation Council has too much power. How would you reform the council's role, if at all?
Thank you. Yes, I think they have too much power. I think the executive power should be at cabinet. And why I say this is because there has to be a balance. I agree in conservation. I agree, and we got to preserve land and so forth, right? But not on the expense of our people. The way it is now, as we can see, we are suffering on the eastern side. Road can't be built. Traffic is crazy. 5:30 in the morning, everybody got to get up to get to work, get their children to school. There's no quality life. We're existing, but we ain't living. And that is part of the problem. They're hindering development. The process is taking too long. So at the end of the day, I feel it needs to be reformed. So we need to get together and get it reformed and tweak it. I'm not saying cut it out completely, no, but reform it. That's my take on that.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez Jr. Mr. Panton, do you need me to repeat the question?
No, thank you. I think people in this country can just look around and see the kinds of development, the pace of development, and they can arrive at a conclusion very easily that the premise that is being argued that the National Conservation Council has too much power is just completely and wholly inaccurate. If you look at the statistics, none of the statistics support any conclusion along those lines. I wouldn't reform the council's role at all. I think personally that the council's role needs to be strengthened a little bit. But I am not, sorry, let me just say, for clarity's sake, I am absolutely in favor of sustainable development, but not rampant development. Rampant development is what has caused a lot of the problems that we face today. The issues with traffic, the issues with impacts on quality of life, the failure for somebody to take responsibility for stormwater management. If you look at the comments that have come from the council to address so many of these issues, they are completely ignored. They're there. They're there for the public to see, but they have been ignored because too much, and not all, but too much of the developer body represents special interests who simply want to have their way. I mean, they want to come to government and demand, and they went to the PPM government, and they got year after year multiple significant concessions at a time when our GDP was growing well. Why was it needed? To guarantee the profits of certain developers? I want to see Caymanians who are trying to build homes for other Caymanians. I want to see them given concessions, not these mega developers who feel that they should be able to control everything that happens around them. As I said, the statistics do not support that at all. And I think the way they have approached it with the proposed amendments to the law has been driven by special interests, and they have gone ahead and made certain other changes. Nothing against the individuals, but that, again, is just an attempt to cater to certain special interests.
Thank you, Mr. Panton.
Mr. Gonzalez, this next question will start with you. If offered a ministerial seat in the government, which specific portfolios would you choose to oversee, and what motivates your selection of these subjects? Additionally, how do you believe your expertise in these areas would benefit the people of the Cayman Islands?
Thank you. Well, first of all, I ain't looking at a ministerial seat. I'm looking to be part of the government and work with them and learn. But if needs be, and I have to get a ministerial seat, I will accept it because the country needs me then. And I would take planning, infrastructure, agriculture. I would aim for that. Why I would take those or that ministerial seat is Mr. Ebanks is doing a very good job on that. Very good job. So I must say that first. But there's a lot of things left that could be added to. The road has to go through. And we have to sit down and think about, we could build more and more roads, but how much more wider can we go? We got to think, how are we going to get the flow of traffic going? To ease the pressure of the families that they could live quality life, to get in and out of town. We got to think about overhead passes. We got to think ahead. We can't think about just 4-year period. We got to think about 50 years, 100 years. Agriculture, I would pick that too because we need to push farming, local farming. We got to think about sustainable for our food. We got to think about, enhancing that and granting the grants to help the farmers promote backyard farming, promote island farming, because we see what's going to happen. We are overpopulated, and we have to sort that out. We have to think about our Caymanian people first and foremost. We can't be the savior to everybody, right? So we have to put things in place, and those are the areas that I would take and start to push for our Caymanian people.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Mr. Panton, I'll repeat the question. If offered a ministerial seat in the government, which specific portfolios would you choose to oversee, and what motivates your selection of these subjects? Additionally, how do you believe your expertise in these areas would benefit the people of the Cayman Islands?
Thank you very much for the question. I don't have a specific view on a particular ministerial position or portfolio. I think my experience is very broad, and I could cover a wide range of those. But I think one of the challenges that that really is reflected in the current circumstances is trying to bring planning and public transport, traffic, all the and quality of life, and all these types of things together, where we are and provide solutions for those, where we are trying to address the long outstanding development plan review and all these types of things. We need to be able to have that under one umbrella with things like the environment, to be honest. That is the only way it's going to properly work, if you can bring them all together so that you can achieve the right degree of balance between them and try to promote the sustainable approach to life and public transport and business activities across the country. We also have the need to look at this situation that, frankly, I find it interesting that it has a very low profile at the moment, and that is waste management and the fact that the Regen project was abandoned. We don't actually have a solution So I think that all, it would be a big ministry, but I think it's all relevant and it should all be brought together so that we can provide a holistic solution, a sustainable solution for this country to be able to move forward and to be able to deliver improved quality of lives and the best degree of success for our people to be able to thrive in our own country.
Thank you, Mr. Panton. Mr. Suku, you need me to repeat the question? Okay. If offered a ministerial seat in the government, which specific portfolios would you choose to oversee and what motivates your selection of these subjects? Additionally, how do you believe your expertise in these areas would benefit the people of the Cayman Islands?
Well, I could probably answer that with one line, one fact. 50% of job seekers in Cayman today are Caymanian, and 40% of those only have a high school education. So, to answer it in a tricky, roundabout way, I would say I am driven more towards education. But on the caveat that we combine education with labor. Because that fact that I just gave there, I think highlights a major issue in Cayman of why we have so many Caymanians who are unable to achieve the Caymanian dream over time, because we haven't looked at education and labor under the same microscope. So a lot of the issues that we face today with our people should be, if we're looking at implementing new education policies, improving education, it has to be driven by ultimately what people want. They want to be employed. They want to earn a good living. We're not looking at labor to say, okay, labor, where is the drive or the demand coming from? Where should we be focusing our academics? Where should we be educating them? If there's a high demand for accountants in the labor market, that should be fed up to education so that we can identify those Caymanians who can become accountants, rather than having to go back to immigration and say, give us some work permits now for accountants. So that's the approach I want to take, so that we're not working so siloed anymore. Marry labor and education together, and we'll make some smarter decisions. We should also target those areas where we grant the most work permits, target those with scholarships. Those are the opportunities. If we're importing 50 lawyers a year, let's train 50 Caymanian lawyers. Let's make sure they have the support. I want to do what I would like to call a pathways program, where when our kids come out of university, we follow them through their career. The government does. Where they need assistance, they retraining, upskilling, the government makes sure they get it. I would like to give free tertiary education to our young people up until at least age 25, 26. Then we can at least guarantee that they'll do a lot better than they're doing now.
Thank you, Mr. Suku.
Mr. Panton, we're at number 7 and we'll start with you first. What is your view on introducing annual quotas for the number of permanent residency and Caymanian status grants to control the level of permanent immigration to the Cayman Islands?
Could you just repeat that for me?
No problem. What is your view on introducing annual quotas for the number of permanent residency and Caymanian status grants to control the level of permanent immigration to the Cayman Islands?
I can't say that I have a fixed view on a particular quota approach, but in general, it is beyond doubt that our people feel that the numbers of people getting PR and getting Caymanian status is unsustainable. There is this goes back to the view of, feeling that they're losing control of of our own country. We're not being able to develop and become significant stakeholders in our own country. There are very few people, very few Caymanians that is happening for. So the view is that we have to do something like that. I think that if we take the approach of quotas, We'd have to spend some time trying to understand exactly what that should look like. But I am going to err on the side of caution in terms of Caymanians' views on this. I want them to feel that they're comfortable with the changes that are going on in their own country and the numbers of people. I mean, I think the numbers right now over the last year reflect something in excess of 1,500 people who have been able to get status. That is, that's a significant number. Obviously, we have nearly 38,000 work permits. And when those work permits are all in train, those numbers are going up. And so the assumption could be that the numbers of people that are getting PR and status are going to increase, and Caymanians are going to be rightly concerned about it. So while I don't have a specific idea on the quotas, I am prepared to work with the relevant stakeholders to understand where we should put a quota and how much it should be, because we need to make sure that our own people feel comfortable of what is happening in their own country.
Thank you, Mr. Panton. Mr. Suku, I'll repeat the question. What is your view on introducing annual quotas for the number of permanent residency and Caymanian status grants to control the level of permanent immigration to the Cayman Islands?
It's a popular issue nowadays. People are focused on maybe we should stop giving PR and stop giving Caymanian status. I'm more of a view that we need to tackle this problem from the entryway. So where does the problem begin? The problem begins when that person applies for permanent residency. Because if you follow the laws, the Immigration Transition Act, and then the UK Naturalization Act and so on, and then back to our law, it's just a matter of time. Once you give someone PR in your country, before they become a Caymanian, unless they do something crazy like commit a serious crime or an act of treason or something, they're going to get it. So what we have to do is tackle this problem from the entryway. Look at the PR system, the point system in particular. Right now, you can, if you have a college degree, a property, and 50,000 in savings, you get PR. It's that simple. You have to try very hard not to get it at that point because of the way the point system is designed. What I'd like to see is we take away some of those financial elements carefully, because you also don't want to be granting PR to people who are going to become a burden on the state later on. But we have to balance it a bit more, focus more on how much did you assimilate into this country? How many hours did you spend teaching a Caymanian at University College while you were CEO of this company? How much did you integrate? How much did you embrace Caymanian culture? How much do you demonstrate that you are willing to be part of this society and not live here and be apart from this society? That's where we need to focus. The quality of people. Right now, things are a bit out of control. And we saw recently what happened when there's a huge backlog because of the failures of the point system, where you have, you had thousands of people waiting for decisions. I think we need to really spend some time redesigning that point system and focusing on what our priorities are for who we want to come into this country and to remain here and to become Caymanian.
Thank you, Mr. Suku. Mr. Gonzalez Jr., do you need me to repeat the question?
Please.
What is your view on introducing annual quotas for the number of permanent residency and Caymanian status grants to control the level of permanent immigration to the Cayman Islands?
Thank you. Again, that's why the Caymanians are suffering the way they are, right? Because of the overburden of all the PRs and status grants that are happening, and it's taking a burden on our infrastructure, schools, hospitals, employment, you name it. So for me right now, I think we need to have a pause button when it comes to that. A moratorium needs to be put in place for right now so we could assess and reform that whole process to how they are attaining that. Caymanians are second in their country, and that cannot work no longer. Caymanians need to be at the forefront. They need to be sitting at the table. We need to focus our energy, all our energy, all our resources on our people, educate them, get them employed, get them into the jobs where they can make a decent living, where they could be living a sustainable life in their country, providing for their families, where they could get houses. Because of all of these PRs and statuses, and it's so easy for them to attain it, right? And then it's a domino effect. They take away the jobs, housing prices gone up, land gone up. There's only so much land that we have in Cayman, right? And we have 30,000 strong Caymanians, right? We have to preserve our land for our people, that they have a chance. So as much as we love the world and we want to help everybody, and we're a loving nation, a Christian nation, our people come first. Once we get our people and the jobs and get the education system sorted out, and the health care and the housing and all of that sorted out, then we could start letting people in. But for right now, we are minorities in our own country. And if it continues like this, we know where we're at. There's no jobs. Housing's a problem. Pension's a problem. Healthcare's a problem. We need to sort this out. There's no hope for our Caymanians. So we need action now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez Jr.
All right, this is question 8. I'll start with you, Mr. Suku. If you could introduce one measure to reduce the cost of living in the Cayman Islands, what would that be?
One measure to reduce the cost of living, and I have to stop and think about what impacts us the most, what element of cost of living. There's so many, but I would have to say the health care, health insurance. It is astronomical right now. What we have to do is find ways to reduce that ongoing burden, because it's mandatory by law. You are required to have health insurance. You're required to pay it every month. So how do we reduce that? And what the PPM proposes to do is that we're going to introduce a plan where we're going to cover all of our young people right up until age 18. So parents can then take those children off of their plan, and immediately the cost goes down, and government will supplement the requirement to have health insurance. That is one way to battle, to deal with cost of living. Another thing that we need to look at is some sort of fair trade legislation. We do need to ensure that the prices that we're paying are fair. I'm not talking about price control, but I think in instances where individuals go too far with their prices and what they charge customers, there needs to be some government entity who can examine what they're charging, analyze their costs and their operating expenses, and say, well, no, you're ripping people off. We do need some form of protection there, consumer protection. I'm not of the mindset of that type of strict control, where price control and so on, but a watchdog to make sure that people are being fair in their business practices. I think that is one of the things that we can do as well. We've talked about the cost of fuel. Fuel filters down into everything. Every supermarket, every gas station, starting there, but operating a business, you're paying CUC for electricity, and fuel goes into that. So we have to. I do agree we need to get off fossil fuels. I think we need to get on renewables. It won't be an immediate reduction, because that technology is expensive and it has to pay for itself. But over time, we can, with the amount of sunlight that we receive every day, I think transition over, reduce the cost of electricity, get off the fossil fuels, save the environment, for one. And I think that would be a point when, if we're doing those two things or three things, we would actually be helping people save, have more disposable income, when they go to the supermarket and have money to save. A lot of people can't even save right now.
Thank you, Mr. Suku. Mr. Gonzalez, if you could introduce one measure to reduce the cost of living in the Cayman Islands, what would that be?
Thank you. Fuel is the number one. Everything is being imported. There's a fuel factor on everything. We need to regulate that. We know what our CUC bills are. They're like another mortgage. And the boat sailed and we missed the boat on that one, right? It was where that contract came up for discussion and we didn't let CUC know. So you know what happened now? We're renewed. That contract has been renewed. It's going to be renewed and we're under that again for 20 years, right? So we're going to be a modern day slavery, the Cayman people, because of that CUC contract. We have to regulate the insurance companies. The insurance rates are outrageous. That needs to be reformed. We need to sit down with the banks and put some measures in place. They need to be regulated also too, because to attain a home, the interest rates, I don't know, I can't understand why are we tied to the U.S. We are KYD, not U.S., right? That needs to be looked into. And every month, there's a new tax we're getting for some sort on our accounts. The people can't take no more. Between the utilities, the insurances, the grocery stores, like I say, we have to have trade with these other Caribbean countries and South and Central America. We have to go straight to the source, right, to bring down the cost of living. A measure I would also love to introduce to our people is your voter's ID card, right? It's only used once every 4 years. Have it as a discount card, 5 to 10% in every store, so people get money back into their pockets, like a Chambers card. Thank you.
Mr. Gonzalez. Mr. Panton, do you need me to repeat the question? Okay. If you could introduce one measure to reduce the cost of living in the Cayman Islands, what would that be?
I think, we've heard lots of responses on that one measure, but I think one of the probably most important things to do is for us to reduce that CUC mortgage payment that people talk about. If we can include in our planning laws the requirement to make houses more efficient, I know it will raise the cost of building a house of a given size. But the reality is, and we all learn this, you build a house of a certain size, you end up realizing after 10 or 15 years that you're only living in something half that size. So you really only need something half that size. And if rather than trying to struggle to build a house that size, scale it back and let's try to improve efficiencies in our homes, meaning foaming of the ceilings, very, very efficient windows, doors, efficient appliances. We have demonstrated by programs. There was a program that I had put in place called Cheers. It has been carried forward in a different form through the current government, but that has demonstrated that we can cut our utility bills by about 50% taking that kind of approach. And for a lot of people with reasonably big families and slightly extended families, their utility bills are like $800 a month, $900 a month. If they can cut that to $400 or $450, that is a start for them to considerably start saving money. And we all talk about people being in a position where they're one paycheck away from financial ruin. That is a way that we can cut those costs. We can lower consumption through efficiencies. We can do that on an after-the-fact basis. We can retrofit homes. But if we can encourage our young people today who are trying to build homes, try to build them as efficient as possible, because it is the best money you can spend that will help you save money in the long run. That's the approach I think we need to take, but the problem is convincing people to do it.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. We've gone through 8 questions. We have 4 more to go. And with the next question, we're going to take a short commercial break. So please stay tuned.
At CUC, we care about helping our customers. Here are some quick energy saving tips from CUC so you can use less energy and save money. Set your AC Smart thermostat to maintain an indoor temperature of 87 degrees Fahrenheit or higher when you are away from home, and have the temperature cool to a comfortable 78 degrees Fahrenheit or higher when you arrive home. Adding insulation can cut your cooling costs by 15 to 45%, depending on your home's size and current insulation. Focus on insulating your attic, walls, and windows for the best results. For your laundry, avoid over-drying clothes. Not only does it waste energy, but it also harms fabrics. Dry towels and heavier cottons separately from lighter weight fabrics to save energy. Your TV and gaming setup can be big energy consumers. Save costs by reducing in-game settings and turning off your console when not in use. Remember, every small step counts. Use energy wisely and make a big difference in your energy bills and the environment.
When you run your own business, you have a career as an accountant, stock taker, delivery driver, therapist, legal expert, mother, father, and the rest. But there's one area you don't need to be an expert in. At Brava, we take the complexity out of your business solutions. We keep it simple, so you can get along with doing what you do. Brava, the Simplify My Business company.
In the Cayman Islands, our habitats, including coral reefs, coastlines, and mangroves, are all dependent on one another. Our economy is no different. From people to businesses, right through to government, it's all connected. And just like everyone wants a healthy ecosystem, everyone wants a healthy economy too. Cayman is a top-ranked international financial center and domicile for captives, investment funds, and pensions worldwide. And our biggest economic contributor? Construction, you ask? Not quite. Tourism? Close. It's true that we're a country of consumers, and the more people we have using our services, the more money we make. But our actual greatest economic contributor is our world-class financial services. Long ago, we had a simple economy. One person has fish, another person needs to eat. That's a transaction. Now imagine that instead of fish, it's a boat, a house, or a car, or a fleet, or business you can earn on. That's investment. But what if you're in Canada and your investment is based in China? Whose rules and regulations do you use? Cayman maintains a high level of integrity with a stable government and a UK-based legal system, globally respected for fairness. That's why so many countries choose us for these transactions. The more transactions we do, the more specialized we become, and the more our economy grows. The result? Cayman is now home to many of the world's top accountants, law firms, banks, fiduciary firms, and administrators. Unlike most countries, Cayman doesn't add an extra layer of taxes on top of tax paid in an investor's home country. That way, there's no duplication of taxation. Instead, our financial services fees ensures constant investment in our professional sector's exceptional service. Cayman's tax-neutral status combats tax evasion with legislation, regulation, and more, ensuring the highest international standards for transparency and cross-border cooperation and attracting reputable investors. All these factors make the Cayman Islands an ideal and trusted international financial center.
Round of 4 questions. The next question will be dealing with the aging population. And I'll turn it over to Omari.
Thank you, Will. Mr. Gonzalez Jr., we'll start with you. This is question number 9. It is long, so I will read it twice. The Cayman Islands has a growing elderly population and relatively fewer young workers entering the workforce. This means that over time, an increasing number of individuals will rely on their pensions for financial support throughout retirement. Many private pension funds have been depleted due to pension holidays and COVID-19 withdrawals. Do you consider this a national priority? And if yes, what actions or reforms, if any, would you support to address this issue over the next 4 years? So I'll read it again. The Cayman Islands has a growing elderly population and relatively fewer young workers entering the workforce. This means that over time, an increasing number of individuals will rely on their pensions for financial support throughout retirement. Many private pension funds have been depleted due to pension holidays and COVID-19 withdrawals. Do you consider this to be a national priority? And if yes, what actions or reforms, if any, would you support to address this issue over the next 4 years?
Thank you for the question. Pension is a problem, and that's another thing that's been kicking down the road from time it came into play. Pension is not working for the people of the Cayman Islands, right? Number one, you can't live off $1,000 a month or $1,500 a month with the cost of living the way it is. 2, you can't tell me, you run into difficulties and you have $200,000 or $300,000 into your pension and you're losing your home and you can't get access to your pension. That's a problem. God bless Elio when they did the 30,000. Kenneth and them did the 50,000, 100,000 to get to your house, but not everybody could get to that 100,000 mark to pay off their home in order to borrow the pension. For me, that pension needs to be revamped completely. We handle $3 trillion in our finance here in the Cayman Islands for other people. Why it is we can't bring our pension here? Bring it all back here. Invest it into our country. CUC, real estate, housing, infrastructure, renewable energy. Invest it back into the people too, right? We got Port Authority. Right here we could invest that money and make it work. On top of that too, you can't tell me we're working, the average person, the middle class, the poor, making $40,000 to $50,000 a year, $60,000, and they're the ones who have to pay that 10% into that pension. And the rich now making $150,000, $200,000, there's a cap at $87,000, $8,700 is all they got to pay. That's a problem there now. That pension can't grow. it's growing on us, the small people, the poor people, the middle class. That ain't fair. We got to pay all our money. They should be paying all their money and their wages to make the pension grow. So the seniors will be able to get the dividends and so forth. But for me, like I say, that whole pension need to be revamped, and I'm proposing that people could get more access to their pension in order to pay off their homes and whatever debts they got in medical and so forth, and bring it back here, and let's reinvest it here in Cayman.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez Jr. Mr. Panton, I will repeat the question. The Cayman Islands has a growing elderly population and relatively fewer young workers entering the workforce. This means that over time, an increasing number of individuals will rely on their pensions for financial support throughout retirement. Many private pension funds have been depleted due to pension holidays and COVID-19 withdrawals. Do you consider this to be a national priority? And if yes, what actions or reforms, if any, would you support to address this issue over the next 4 years?
Thank you for the question. Yes, I do think it is a national priority. It is an issue that is occurring really all over the world. Populations are generally aging further. It is becoming more of a burden on the state. We need to be able to assist people where they do not have sufficient pension or retirement funding for themselves. For us to be able to address that, we look back at the original setup with the National Pension Fund and the National Pension Scheme. That was set at 5% and 5% coming from the employer and employee for a 10% contribution. So you got to work 10 years to get 1 year's salary. That is supposed to be some sort of salary or income replacement. It isn't working. We have then, because of COVID, allowed significant withdrawals. Subsequently, we have allowed other withdrawals to address challenges around mortgages and other challenges that families face. We need to face the fact now that we need to address national pension reform. Otherwise, the system is achieving nothing whatsoever. The payments that we're getting out are $1,400 a month. That does very little. There are people who have significant pension funds. They're only getting $1,400 a month out. That's not helping them either. The reality is we're going to have to take a phased approach to try to reform pensions so that we end up with stronger pension accounts, more contributions, so that our people can have better, more stable retirement. It is not, it's not an easy thing to deal with, but we have to face that fact. And the employers need to be contributing more. Government does 12%. The mathematicians will tell us that you have to have about 18%. Let's phase it in over a period of 5 years and try to achieve real reform to make a real difference.
Thank you, Mr. Panton. Mr. Suku, do you need me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
The Cayman Islands has a growing elderly population and relatively fewer young workers entering the workforce. This means that over time, an increasing number of individuals will rely on their pensions for financial support throughout retirement. Many private pension funds have been depleted due to pension holidays and COVID-19 withdrawals. Do you consider this to be a national priority? And if yes, what actions or reforms, if any, would you support to address this issue over the next 4 years?
Yeah, I don't just consider it a national priority, I consider it a national emergency. We're at the stage now where it's going to be detrimental for elderly in particular. It is already, because the pensions that they're living off of now are inadequate to keep them above the poverty line. So they're being supplemented by children and family members and whatnot. I've even heard solutions of proposed where we put the retired back to work. I don't think that's fair either. In their golden years, they should be allowed to enjoy their golden years. But there's been some suggestions that let's let them continue working past retirement. I think the crux of the problem is that we introduced pensions fairly recently, the requirement. So of course, individuals' pension funds haven't been built up to the level where they can happily live off those pensions for the rest of their life. They haven't contributed long enough. That's one problem. I think the younger folks coming in, like my daughter, my oldest daughter, who's in her 20s, I won't say exactly how old, but she is contributing now. And over time, her contributions will add up. So depending on how things go with investments and so on, she may be okay with her pension. But for the immediate problem with the elderly, we need to create a sovereign fund, a fund that we can contribute to the same way we do for conservation, because this is the purpose to take care of our elderly. So they're going to have health emergencies. They're going to have cost of living issues to deal with. Some of them are not going to have families supporting them. So let's create a sovereign fund that the government contributes to, maybe even private sector contributes to at least take care of that segment of our population for the rest of their natural lives. Coming behind them, the younger folks, I think will be more amenable to reform, because their income is going up each year, hopefully, as they move up the corporate ladder. And so it will balance out that they would be able to contribute more. But the immediate emergency is the elderly, and a sovereign fund, I think, is the only way that we can really tackle that quickly.
Thank you, Mr. Suku.
Thank you.
And Mr. Panton, next question for you. I think Will plans it that the cruise question always ends up with the former director of tourism. Mr. Panton, what's your position on constructing a cruise berthing facility in Georgetown? And how do you weigh the environmental concerns versus the economic benefits and costs?
Just repeat it for me one more time.
Okay. What's your position on constructing a cruise berthing facility in Georgetown? And how do you weigh the environmental concerns against the economic benefits and costs?
Right. Thank you for the question. My position, which is consistent with my colleagues in the Caymanian Community Party, is that we are not in favor of having a cruise berthing facility built in Georgetown Harbour. I think obviously there are tremendous environmental concerns. There's tremendous environmental costs. That has been highlighted by the environmental impact assessment that was done when the PPM government was proposing to do it back then. The economic benefits are somewhat in doubt today, because we have people, regional economists, no less than someone like Marla Dukaran, who I think recently gave a contribution on the issue that indicates that the economic benefits may not be realistic. We may not be on balance receiving the kinds of economic benefits that people sort of speculate about. One of the issues we have is that we do not have enough data in relation to it. And it is a real concern that we need to have a data-based approach to everything that we're doing in government. I think that if you're taking a sustainable approach to anything, you need to be able to understand whether it is worth the damage that is being done, whether the cost of it is justified by the outcomes that you are going to get from it. And I think our concern at the moment is that there is an insufficient indication of exactly what those benefits are likely to be and what the costs are likely to be and what the what benefits we are going to get overall from having a cruise berthing facility. It's possible that one could be done somewhere outside of Georgetown and the consequences could be less. That is something that we could discuss, but the feelings at this point, and I think talking to constituents, the view is that they're not in favor of a cruise facility in Georgetown.
Thank you, Mr. Panton. Mr. Suku, I'll repeat the question. What is your position on constructing a cruise berthing facility in Georgetown, and how do you weigh the environmental concerns against the economic benefits and costs?
Well, I'm going to take a different approach. We have a referendum April 30th, and one of the questions is going to be essentially, do you want to stay in cruise tourism or not? That is a question that the people of this country are going to answer. So I can't sit here and say definitively that I would not support it or I would. I would have to be guided by the will of the people on that particular day. That being said, I was one of those individuals who opposed and supported the referendum effort to get the people to decide from years ago. And I had my concerns about dredging and all of those things. I don't think I need to go into detail. However, I always said that if there was a safe way where we wouldn't risk 7 Mile Beach, where we wouldn't risk our natural resources or environment, I would support it. Because I do see some benefit. We do have a lot of Caymanians employed in the cruise industry and who depend on it. I also see another difficulty that I don't know if many people have realized, is that when you remove that contribution to our economy, you're going to have to replace it with something. Most likely, we will try to replace it with stayover, which then means, what do? We have to build more hotels, more room stock. So you might be trading one bad thing for another in terms of development and overdevelopment. So we have to be careful. But I certainly would not take a position that is detrimental to our natural environment. I know why people came here in the 80s and the 70s. It was for the beauty of this place. The diving was pristine. It was the best experience they ever had. I don't want to lose that. So my approach will always be the safe approach. Show me, Mr. Engineer, how we can do this without damaging what we have now and losing what we have now. Because we need to. If the country decides to stay in cruise tourism, it'll be my job to figure out how we do it.
Thank you, Mr. Suku. Mr. Gonzalez, do you need me to repeat the question?
Yes.
Okay. What is your position on constructing a cruise berthing facility in Georgetown, and how do you weigh the environmental concerns against the economic benefits and costs?
Okay, thank you. Again, we're at the same crossroads, talking the same thing over and over and over, right? I understand there has to be a balance, and we don't want to destroy our tourism product. I am here first to serve. Whatever the people decide to do, we will do. But on a personal view, I feel that we got to stop kicking this can down the road. We need to repair our dock. That's long overdue. We should be thinking and considering repairing the one in Spots too. Put a pier out there. We should be thinking about long term. Where are we going to move the Essos and the Rubises and stuff? Where are we going to move home gas, right? We should be, and then cruise. We should be thinking about safe harbor, right? All year round. And I think we should be thinking about going east. We got all those quarries that are 85 feet down. They say 65 to 75 feet down. Join the quarries and make a safe harbor. We do a public-private partnership with the cruise industry and with the fuel companies and with port. We got to be thinking 100 years down the road, not just 4 years every election. We got to, like I said, move east where it's going to be less impact. We got those holes that will never be filled again. We got a lot of land there that we could grow, and we could put everything in one place and get it out of South Church Street, get it out from Walker's Road. That's dangerous for those people down there now. And they don't have no room to grow over there. And we could grow the cruise and we could grow the port. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez.
Mr. Suku, we'll start with you for question number 11. What are the top 2 infrastructure projects in the Cayman Islands that you believe the next government should address as a matter of priority, and what methods of funding would you support?
Well, I'm going to be a little bit selfish with this answer and focus my answers on Bordentown, Newlands and Savannah, really. We have the east-west arterial. I think that is part of the solution to traffic management in the eastern districts, but it's also part of a solution to providing a more efficient transportation network. And I say that because if you ever traverse the existing Bordentown Road now, when there's an accident or a blockage, you're stuck for hours sometimes. So we do need to, I think, to finish that road. Again, I will take the safe approach, not build where it's going to be in detriment to the central wetlands. I respect the fact that we have to protect that area as well. But that is one project that I think needs to be completed. I don't envisage introducing any sort of new tax to pay for it. I think over time, it has to be done, and we're going to have to find the capital investment to do it. I think everybody accepts that because we can't start introducing toll bridges and so on now. I don't think it would pay for it anyway because of the short length of the road. That is one project that I want to see done. Another one is Bordentown. Years ago, I brought a private member's motion asking for plans to start to be put in place for a new primary school in Bordentown. And I'm telling you, Bordentown Savannah Primary in particular is way past its useful lifetime. Our kids are packed in there. There's no storage space. The playground equipment is degraded. They can't fit another seat in a classroom. So we're not meeting the needs of our kids. We're packing them in a classroom. Essentially, they're not learning effectively. We identify kids who need intervention because they're not developing at the pace that they should intellectually, academically. But there's no resources there to help them. So we need another primary school in Bordentown. We have fast outgrown the Savannah Primary in particular, and we need to make that a priority for the eastern districts.
Thank you, Mr. Suku. Mr. Gonzalez Jr., I'll repeat the question. What are the top 2 infrastructure projects in the Cayman Islands that you believe the next government should address as a matter of priority, and what methods of funding would you support?
Thank you. Like my colleagues said, I'm going to be a little bit biased here now for Newlands and the eastern side. The road is top priority. It is taking away quality of life from our Caymanians. That road needs to be done. And we need to have an alternative route. We only have one road in case there's any emergencies and so forth. So I would push to get that road done. Second of all, we're lacking a lot of stuff in Bordentown, the district of Bordentown. We knew that the schools are being overrun right now. They're overcrowded. The children have lunches between 3 different time periods because it just ain't enough room. The classes are overcrowded. So the teachers are being overworked too, right? So I would want to see a school being built in the Bordentown, another primary school for the population that we do have. We need another school. It's not something that could be next 5-10 years from now. It has to be now. We need a seniors home in our district. We don't have a seniors home. Where's our civic center? There's no civic center for after-school programs and stuff for the families, right? We could even have a kitchen to take care of the elders and stuff and help Meals on Wheels, right? Where's our clinic? We need another clinic. Bordentown's the fastest growing district, right? And God bless that clinic they had over there. God bless the civic center. They're going to repair that. But we need a clinic that everybody don't have to go to town. These are projects that I would push to get for our district because it's long overdue, right? And it would bring the quality of life for the people that it's most needed. Where the funds going to come from? Funds are here. Stop the concessions. Let's invest those concessions in our people, in our infrastructure. Let's stop focusing on developing. I understand there has to be a balance, but let's put it back on our people right now, the emphasis on our people and education. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez Jr. Mr. Panton, do you need me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
What are the top 2 infrastructure projects in the Cayman Islands that you believe the next government should address as a matter of priority? And what methods of funding would you support?
Well, I'm going to surprise a lot of people, I'm sure, and say that the extension of the East-West is a priority for me. I am not sure that we're going to be able to get that road built completely to Frank Sound within the next 4 years, but we can certainly build it further east in a safe way, following the environmental impact assessment recommendations so that we minimize costs and we maximize the benefits to the people. It's not going to help Newlands necessarily. In fact, if we do it wrong, if we start the traffic coming from further east through the extension from Shamrock, we are going to cause a problem in Newlands. We are not going to be able to get out of Newlands. We have one way in and out at this point. I have written to the NRA and I've said to them, we need to make sure that we have that connector road that goes down to the westerly roundabout so that there are 2 ways to get in and out of Newlands when the east-west becomes functional in terms of the traffic moving through the intersection with Hurst Road. So I am fully in favor of that. It is going to be expensive. There's no question about it. It isn't going to save an hour's worth of time for people coming from up east. It'll save probably 7 or 10 minutes, but that's okay. That's better than nothing. We need that alternate route. We need to have, instead of having the B3 route where it would go further into the central mangrove wetlands, it needs to go on the B2 route, which would be more efficient, less environmentally damaging, and much cheaper to actually build. Cost is going to be a major issue with this road. We are not going to be able to build this in 4 years. It's going to take longer than that, and it's going to take a lot of money. The second thing for me is something that, again, I think people don't really think about it and talk about it very much, but it is regen. We do not have, well, let me put it another way. We only have less than 1 term left of use in the landfill. The PPM government signed an agreement in October 2020 and effectively gave control of the landfill in an agreement that is separate and apart from whether regen went ahead to the dark group. That to me gave away all the leverage, and we are in a position where we no longer have a functioning landfill in less than 1 term. That's going to destroy our quality of life. That's going to harm our residents, our people in Newlands all over this country.
Thank you, Mr. Panton.
Right. Rounding out, coming home. So, Mr. Gonzalez, last question. It will be about public transport. So what's your vision, Mr. Gonzalez, for public transportation in Grand Cayman?
Thank you. We need a public transport system badly, right? That would alleviate with the traffic also. A dependable public transport system with their apps and everything else. I know the government been working on something, but we need it now sooner rather than later. I would like to have one in Newlands. It's a long walk for those helpers and those workers and the people who's walking, from top of the road down to back in Newlands. Families can't leave their homes until their helpers reach and so forth. So not only the island, we need it inside the Newlands, right? And like I say, we alleviate with traffic by far. You got people just going to countryside on the weekends, right? You can't even find parking Fridays and Saturdays. If we had a public transport in Newlands, the people in Newlands could be using that to go and do their business countryside, spend an hour or two, go Jim Foster's, bank, whatever, save on their car, gas, wear and tear in their cars, and utilize that service. For the country, that would save on the traffic also too, because if people know they have a reliable public transport system, they would use it. Because again, it'll save on their cars too, right? But there's no public transport. The one that we have here now is not reliable, and it needs to be reformed and regulated there too, because you got bus drivers just leaving people, ain't carrying them to their destination, right? So it has to be reformed completely. We need a reliable public transport system throughout our whole island, and I would support that.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Mr. Panton, what's your vision for public transportation in Grand Cayman?
Thank you. I've been a huge advocate for public transport being improved, reformed, such that we end up with a very reliable, efficient public transport system to cover the whole country. That is going to address significantly our traffic problems. It will minimize the need for people to utilize cars, their own private cars rather. It will minimize the amount of traffic on the roads, and it will put us in a position where we can make decisions, for example, like saying, you know, if you come here, if you come here as a guest worker, you don't need to go and buy a car within 2 months of arriving, because you can use the public transport system to get to work and to get around. So it is an essential part of our development as a successful country that creates a sustainable, thriving environment and quality of life for our people. There's no question about that for me. I tried to set up, in fact, it was set up for Newlands a couple of years ago. It was supposed to start up, and then I was told the public transport unit had shut it down, or deferred it rather, and it was never reinstated. I want to see the completion of a sidewalk in Newlands for people to be able to walk safely. I want to see a community bus carrying people between Newlands and countryside. The whole country will benefit from public transport. There's no question about that. And having a rather minimal investment in public transport, we could probably do it with less than $20 million and end up with a very efficient public transport system that could be utilized by children, could be utilized by workers, could be utilized by families wanting to move around. That is a way for us to address our traffic problems in this country and improve our quality of life.
Thank you, Mr. Panton. Mr. Suku, do you need me to repeat the question?
If you could.
Okay. What is your vision for public transportation in Grand Cayman?
Well, when you talk about public transportation, you can't not talk about traffic management. So it is part of the solution. I quickly mentioned the other aspects of it. I want to see private schools implement busing systems. I want to see policies to not get too strict, but to control how many vehicles you can have, who can have vehicles, all those sorts of things we need to look at. We need smart traffic management systems. So those will go a long way towards solving the traffic problems. Public transport is only going to work if the average consumer of public transport prefers that option to driving their own car. If we don't give them a solution that is going to replace their vehicle, they're going to keep driving. Because if I can jump on whatever format is in, whatever mode, because it doesn't have to be a bus, but you know there are other solutions out there, but I'm thinking everybody's thinking busing. If that bus is comfortable, if it's on time, if it's reliable, if it doesn't leave me stranded somewhere, if I can sit in that bus and be comfortable, maybe even open my laptop and get some work done on the way to the office, I'll use it. But if it's a hassle, if it is a pain, I'm not going to use it. I prefer to drive myself. So that is the focus. If we're going to implement a proper public transportation system, those have to be the goals. It's demand versus supply. It's consumer likes and wants and needs. If you don't meet the consumer's requirements, it's not going to happen. So that is where I would focus my efforts on revamping public transportation to make it more appetizing and appealing and convenient for our people. Otherwise, it'll fail. You know, I also talk about Newlands needing that connector road done for obvious reasons. So there's one way in and out of the constituency. That's something else that needs to be done to alleviate the problems in Newlands as well, and the safety concerns.
Thank you, Mr. Suku.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. We've gone through 12 questions, and thank you for your cooperation. Ran a little long on some of the question responses, but that's okay. The end of the day, hopefully the Newlands constituents have benefited from your responses. So right now we're going to take a short commercial break, and when we return, we're going to have the closing remarks from each of the candidates. Please stay tuned.
At CUC, we care about helping our customers. Here are some quick energy saving tips from CUC so you can use less energy and save money. Set your AC Smart thermostat to maintain an indoor temperature of 87 degrees Fahrenheit or higher when you are away from home, and have the temperature cool to a comfortable 78 degrees Fahrenheit or higher when you arrive home. Adding insulation can cut your cooling costs by 15 to 45%, depending on your home's size and current insulation. Focus on insulating your attic, walls, and windows for the best results. For your laundry, avoid over-drying clothes. Not only does it waste energy, but it also harms fabrics. Dry towels and heavier cottons separately from lighter weight fabrics to save energy. Your TV and gaming setup can be big energy consumers. Save costs by reducing in-game settings and turning off your console when not in use. Remember, every small step counts. Use energy wisely and make a big difference in your energy bills and the environment.
When you run your own business, you have a career as an accountant, stock taker, delivery driver, therapist, legal expert, mother, father, and the rest. But there's one area you don't need to be an expert in. At Brava, we take the complexity out of your business solutions. We keep it simple, so you can get along with doing what you do. Brava, the Simplify My Business company.
Welcome back to the Chamber of Commerce Candidates Forum for the constituency of Newlands. We reached a stage in the evening for closing remarks, and we'll begin with Mr. Wayne Panton.
Thank you very much. I have had the privilege and honor of representing the people of Newlands, my home constituency, my neighbors, my friends. It has been an honor of my lifetime, and I humbly will be seeking and asking you to elect me come April 30th again to represent your interests, to represent the interests of Newlands, to deliver more perhaps, than what has already been delivered, which has been considerable. I'm very proud of what we've accomplished in Newlands with the incredible support of our community and the people that we work with. Together we have strengthened and we've uplifted Newlands, and there are a number of key initiatives that I think have made a real difference in the lives of our residents. Not only have we maintained this office in Savannah, and I've worked very well with my colleague, Ms. Heather Bodden, who was the incumbent representative for Savannah, and I think will be the next representative for Savannah. And we'll continue to work very well to help deliver to the needs and the desires of the people of our two sister constituencies. We have created groups, WhatsApp groups, to help communication across all of these, both of these constituencies. We have done events, Christmas events, New Year's celebrations, back to school drives. We've improved roads, we've improved the traffic situation, we've put in traffic management control, helping to slow cars down. We've put in specific mechanisms, the solar-powered speed mechanisms to tell us how fast we're going so that we can be conscious of that. We have done a lot. In addition to that, I have certainly renovated 4 of the major parks in Newlands, put in entirely new playgrounds. Our children in Newlands now have some place where they can play and enjoy. Families can go there and spend time with them in a very, very constructive and a very safe way. We've also done an entirely new park at the end of the road by the boat ramp. That is a park that it's underway, and it is one of the few, or probably the only, waterfront park in any constituency in Cayman.
Thank you, Mr. Panton.
So thank you for the opportunity to serve, and I look to serve far more in the future.
Mr. Alva Suku.
I want to first thank the Chamber, you gentlemen, for hosting us and for giving me the opportunity to address the issues that affect the constituents, or the entire Cayman Islands, but in particular the constituents in Newlands. In a few weeks, everyone is going to have the opportunity to decide the future of this country and our community. And it's not just about choosing an MP. It's about choosing the direction that we're going to go in moving forward. For the past 4 years, I have been listening to the concerns of the people, and particularly in Newlands. I've seen the struggles. I've seen the cost of living concerns, the immigration pressures, the frustration with the infrastructure, the lack of attention from current representatives. I know what is at stake because I have lived there with you during the past 4 years. And even while I was not in office, I took the time to be involved, albeit in a sort of quiet fashion and respectful fashion. But I was there in the community the entire 4 years, living, going to the same supermarkets, taking my daughter to the same school. So I know the issues. I'm with the party, the PPM, and we have a plan. We have a plan to deal with the cost of living, to ease housing concerns, to fix the traffic issues once and for all, to strengthen the economy, to provide safer communities, and to ensure that our people have the best education and training available to them. I think I have proven that I can deliver. In the past, I have served this country for 8 proud years, and I'm asking for an opportunity to once again serve the constituency of Newlands. I am with a proven, stable government. I will have the force and the support of individuals who are working on the same agenda, the same vision as me going forward. And I think in partnership with my colleagues in the PPM, we will accomplish a lot for this country. This country is now depending on us to move it forward, to take it out of the doldrums, to fix the issues, to help the people, uplift the people. And that is why I am putting myself forward. I have made a decision to put my legal career on hold once again, to serve. Because I think the country deserves that. And I think Newlands deserves that. And that is what I intend to do. Thank you.
Mr. Raul Gonzalez Jr.
Thank you. I would like to thank the Chamber for hosting this forum. I would like to thank my family, friends, my supporters, the community. It's you guys that's given me the strength to be here and fight for you guys. Newlands and the country, we are at a serious crossroads. There's no time no more for looking into reports and spending millions of dollars into this the reports have already been done. It is time for action. We are lacking so much. Our country is in turmoil, not to mention just Newlands. Cost of living, education, employment, pension, healthcare, you name it. It's a problem. We need to put Caymanians first in the forefront. And for Newlands, I pledge you guys are going to be the decision makers with me. I am going to form a district council. I'm going to have two committees, the national committee to deal with the national issues, and then the community committee to deal with the community issues. My colleague said, yes, he did the parks, and God bless him, and God bless the parks. It's a start. But where's the restrooms? Where's the Wi-Fi for the people who are working from home remotely could go out there? Where's the security cameras to keep the children safe and keep bad elements out of the parks? Where's the cabanas that you could have functions that we don't have to go to town? Where is our civic center in Newlands? Where is our seniors' home for the seniors? Where is, we could also have that ambulance and fire service at the Marine unit in the back, right? Central location. We don't have to wait for town. We don't have to wait for Northside. There's so much things that's happening in Newlands that we're being neglected. It's time to break all those broken promises. We can't go another 4 years. I am one of you. I'm feeling the same things you're feeling. I'm going through the same struggles you're going through. But together, we're going to break this cycle. Godspeed. I'm asking you guys, think about your children and their future. We can't play with that. We've already lived 60% of our lives. It's about them. Caymanians first and foremost. Policies has to be made now to put Caymanians back in the forefront, put them in jobs, not being just existing, but to live. To live. April 30th, vote Raul Gonzalez. Vote for your family, your future. Thank you.
Well, I'd like to thank the candidates for your time and agreeing to tonight's forum. Now, for closing remarks, I'm going to turn it over to Chamber President Omari Corbin.
Thanks, Will. On behalf of the Chamber Council and staff, I'd like to thank Mr. Raul Gonzalez Jr., Mr. Wayne Panton, and Mr. Alva Suku for participating in this evening's forum. I trust that this forum will help Newlands voters make informed decisions about who to vote for when they go to the polls on April 30th. I would also like to thank Ashley's Furniture and Home Store, CUC, Foster's, and Logic for sponsoring the Chamber's candidate forums. Please join us tomorrow evening as we welcome the 5 candidates from Red Bay: Philip Ebanks, Leon Gould, Roy Tatum, Don Thomas, and Natasha Whitelock. Please note that all forums will be posted on the Chamber's YouTube channel for future reference. Thank you for tuning in. I hope that you will join us tomorrow evening, and please have a good night.
When you run your own business, you have a career as an accountant, stock taker, delivery driver, therapist, legal expert, mother, father, and the rest. But there's one area you don't need to be an expert in. At Brava, We take the complexity out of your business solutions. We keep it simple, so you can get along with doing what you do. Brava, the Simplify My Business Company.
Why is my bill higher? These days, it might seem like the cost of everything is going up here in Cayman. When it comes to your energy bill, this may be no exception. You may be wondering why your bill is higher when you haven't done anything different in your home. Here are some common factors that will increase your energy usage. As temperatures outside increase, your air conditioning unit has to run longer to keep your house cool, even if you haven't adjusted the thermostat. During the summer months, cooling your home can make up more than half of your energy bill. It's important to maintain your AC so that it can function as efficiently as possible. Changing your AC filters can also help with ensuring units are functioning properly. Remember, for every degree you turn up your thermostat, you can save on your monthly energy cost. Turn off your AC when no one is home. Thermostat should not be set any lower than 78 degrees. Also consider closing blinds and drapes on the sunny side of your home. This will help reduce the temperature inside your home. Remember to consider energy waste. Think about the items in your home that are using energy, like gaming computers and ceiling fans. Always unplug and turn these items off when they are not in use or needed. This will help you conserve. Now that you have some energy saving tips, you can track your consumption daily on MyCUC. Learn more at www.cuc-cayman.com.